Hey guys, this is Caller with Diggity here, doing the MSL round of 4 casts between Bisu versus Free. This is going to be another Protoss versus Protoss best of 5 fight. Bisu, of course, looking very strong in the OSL, getting defeated by Stork, but in this MSL, certainly doing quite well also, and just Free, looking spectacular actually. Really, just able to just beat Jaedong. Bisu, of course, went through Firebat Hero quite easily in the round of 8, quite humiliatingly easily. But we'll see how these two players do. My predictions are still for Bisu, despite the shape that Free was in. It has been in. I think Free just doesn't really have it though in him. I don't know. I think Moltrap predicted the same thing, but what were your predictions again, Diggity?
I think I'm going to go with Free on this one just because he's been playing so well lately. He just looks like he's playing with a different passion than he has in the past. Bisu is still playing at a very high level, but I don't think he's playing at his top level. I don't think he's playing I think he's playing A class. He's playing AA class. He's playing A class StarCraft right now, but I don't think he's playing S class. Whereas I feel like Free has really elevated his game overall. Getting into the match, looks like Bisu is going to be starting at the 9 o'clock position in orange. We have Free starting at the 3 o'clock position in white.
Yep, and this map is Athena 2 here. We've seen a lot of Protoss versus Protoss in Athena 2. Of course, I won't spoil what happens in the other side of the Protoss versus Protoss round of 4. That would be Jangbi versus Cal. Definitely exciting games that should be going up about the same time. But Athena 2, I think, is definitely a map where you have a lot of options. I think going for an early rush is not a bad idea on this map, given that it's 3 players and the natural expansion is quite wide and easy to hold. It's not so prone to Reaver harass as, say, Medusa has been, though. And actually, we've seen some games where Reavers weren't even used at all, went straight to Templar. So I guess we'll see what happens here in this opening.
I think one of the fun things on this map has been a lot of the battles that have been happening across the middle, or even going into later games, the mid game and late game, the battles for the expansion, battle for map control, just because of those ramps out, the mischance. I think that'll come to play. Who can get the high ground? Who's going to have basically who will have the troop advantage. It's usually the case, but I just really enjoy watching that troop positionings, and especially I think these two players, it should be epic. Bisu's just known for excellent scouting, and then also excellent troop engagement. He's just, especially against Terran, but also against Protoss. Free, on the other hand, I'm curious how his Protoss versus Protoss has improved overall in this match. Again, I want to see if he looks so fantastic coming up to this stage. I'm curious if he's going to show us the same sort of tenacity, the same sort of really high level of play against Bisu here.
Yeah, I mean, Free certainly surprised me, first by beating Jaedong, of course, as an upset by anyone's measure, and then also beating Nada very convincingly, 3-0 in the round of 8. He actually beat Jaedong in the round of 16. Free overall, like going over the numbers, Free is 49% overall against Protoss, Bisu 59%, so small edge there. Free has been one of those players who, has never really looked impressive. Oh, and here we're seeing a mana pylon being done to Free here by Bisu.
Yeah.
Bisu trapping, looks like 2 probes there. Yeah, and looks like they've gone for identical builds otherwise, getting their gas.
I'm surprised they allowed that to happen, because it looked like Bisu missed it initially, and then Free just kind of let it happen instead of keeping his probe in the way. Even though he had another probe going back, big Bisu flex. Second, looked like a second proxy, or sorry, a second mana pylon was attempted to go up there. Did in fact go up. Now there's a zealot hammering away at the front door. And with those 2 probes, the mana, and the biggest thing with that mana pylon is you get more time. You have more time keeping your opponent inside of his base. You're also, because you can keep that scout alive, that zealot's dedicated. But also, I think there's general questions as how effective it is. I don't know if I almost feel like if you do trap 2 probes, the loss of the minerals just about evens out. It's just more of an annoying thing, and something to just throw your opponent's timing off. I don't think it's going to really play all that much. It's not a game winner, I should say, unless you manage to get 2 mana pylons off and trap something like 6 probes. Then it's absolutely devastating. This stage we got, it looks like Free is going to be able to pull his probe scout out and back. He's gotten a pretty good look into Bisu's base. Bisu going for the range upgrade off 1 gate. Looks like he's most likely going to go for a pretty standard tech build. We'll see whether he decides to go Reaver. There's still a lot of options at this stage, obviously. Free's still trying to chase that probe out of his base. He's produced 2 zealots to do so, where that's kind of the differential here. Bisu's got that Dragoon up, whereas just 2 zealots, and that might be an artifact of that mana pylon as well. 2 zealots still trying to usher that probe away.
Yeah, I think with mana pylons, one of the biggest benefits you can gain is a sort of a side effect is that you can actually rush a zealot into your opponent's base and then pick off a probe or two, which of course make your mana pylon very well worth it. It makes it easier because your opponent can't really fight the mana pylon if they're busy microing against your zealot. But anyway, we're seeing a robotics facility and a second gate here going up for free. Meanwhile, for Bisu, we're still not seeing any tech just yet. I think Bisu still might have that probe alive inside of Free's base, so he might be able to see that, and that's going to definitely benefit Bisu. Not sure what that says in Korean. It probably is pretty funny though. Free, of course, you know, what I was trying to say before was he's always known as sort of the star player on Woojin Stars, used to be Hamid Stars, but nothing more than that. I mean, he was never thought of as a contender, you know. He was thought as a contender, really, for an individual title. I used to be a contender. But yeah, he now is a contender, certainly for the MSL title. He definitely is looking pretty good so far in this tournament. And Bisu certainly not looking bad either, of course. Let's not forget that he knocked out Firebat Hero, who was on a bit of a streak previously in the round of 8, almost effortlessly.
So it looks like Bisu's got the third gate going down. He's already got a good amount of Dragoons out alongside that Zealot, and he's also putting up his secondary. So he's transitioning into the mid game already. Free still hasn't put us down in secondary. He doesn't have a third gate. I'm curious what type of tech we're going to see. We see the observatory online right now. I don't see a robotics facility down. And Free's going to actually end up kind of having this game out of his hands if he doesn't do something rather soon. Simply, Bisu's just going to overrun him technologically right now. And this is what's killer right here. Is Free is not doing any scouting at this stage. He's not applying any pressure. He's not doing scouting. He's outnumbered in tech right now. He's just it just feels like he's very behind going into the mid game. And it looks like actually he's got a shuttle up. But again, I don't see, maybe he's just going to go for a straight Zealot drop. There's a robotics facility in the background, but it's going to be a while before this Reaver comes out. I think Bisu's already going to have a secondary up, and I think he's already going to have, with that third gateway up at this stage, a lot of Dragoons to fight that Reaver up. I think Bisu's in a very strong position going into this mid game.
Yeah, I agree here. Bisu already with a fourth gate up. And you're right. Protoss versus Protoss, like I was saying in the previous cast, it's definitely the mirror matchup that requires the most scouting. I'd say, out of all the matchups, it's one of those that requires the most scouting. I'd say maybe Zerg versus Protoss is another one that's close. But it's slightly easier for the Zerg to scout. Whereas Protoss versus Protoss, it is really hard to get a good scout in without observers, and so critical because the counters are so precise and so hard. There's no real soft counters to things. You can't just do one thing that counters everything. So right now, Bisu taking a significant lead in the game, and it's going to come down to Free's Reaver Micro here. He's going to need some pitch perfect Reaver Micro here. He's going to need to really kill a lot of probes, or of course do some kind of finishing move here with a Reaver push, which could be possible as we see him grouping it together with the rest of his Dragoons right now. So he could be going for a frontal break here against Bisu. We'll see how that goes. But Bisu already pushing forward here. Looks like he's going to spot the Reaver and force Free to land it. So this is going to be slow going for Free in terms of how soon he's going to be able to push into Bisu, because Bisu has smartly brought his forces forward.
It looks like what Free's done is he's gone kind of a standard Protoss, get a quick Reaver out, then establish your secondary, go from there. Right now he's completely in the dark. He didn't go with Observer first. The Observer hasn't gone to see that Bisu put up a secondary much early. Free's going to have to push here, and he's going to have some amazing shuttle micro, and if he doesn't push right now, he's just going to end up losing the game. Seeing all those ults on the front door, I think he was just assuming that there's the Observer actually in the backfield now, so I'd expect Free to start moving momentarily to try to get something done, just because he knows he's got to know that that secondary has been up so much later. But Bisu's already got a big force out with the additional gateways. He's already able to put, as you can see, he can just kind of brutalize this pressure. This Reaver's going to have to stay at home base. It's probably going to get picked off, considering how many additional, there is a second Reaver. It's probably going to get picked off just because of the difference in the Reaver numbers here. And even if Bisu loses this entire force, he can rebuild it so quickly with the number of troops he's got coming out. So even though he lost this battle right here, he's winning the overall battle, because look, the reinforcements coming. He's going to be able to re-engage momentarily.
Yeah, crowd of fangirls there, most likely for Bisu, who is the most handsome programmer other than Reach, of course. But Bisu with a larger force still, one badly wounded Reaver inside of a shuttle. That's all that Free has really going for him. And the Reaver is venturing out. It's going to get picked off right there. Right there it gets picked off. I knew it was going to happen because it was just so badly wounded. And now just, maybe one or two goons up, but Bisu's going to be able to replace them. Meanwhile, we haven't gotten a shot of Bisu's tech yet. Actually, he has now gone for robotics facility, but I think it's just going to be for observers. It doesn't look like he has a support bay around. He's just going to mass goon here with all those gateways out, and Free barely has his expansion up, probably a good 3 or 4 minutes after Bisu, so very, very much behind right now, and barring any kind of miraculous play from Free, I do expect Bisu to walk away with this victory here in Game 1.
Yeah, almost a build order win here, and I'm not sure that there's a lot Free could have done about it. He couldn't really get a scout in at various stages. He just kind of went for more typical Protoss versus Protoss. I don't know that maybe if he'd run a Suicide Zealot in to see that secondary, but yeah, going with that Reaver, he had to keep that Reaver at home base. I'm not sure what he could have done in this matchup to really win it. It's just kind of unfortunate choice of events here, and I think Bisu isn't going to come out with it. He's just got too much of a deathlock. He's going to be able to establish a third base. He has map control because he just has a larger grouping of units. Free has to keep that Reaver at home base. Maybe if Free decides to go with a suicidal, maybe if he went speed upgrade here and went with a Suicide Reaver out and just killed all sorts of probes, he'd be able to get back in this. But as things are going, I think Bisu's just going to be able to run over Free momentarily.
Yeah, I think Bisu did a very smart play by assuming Free would go for a rather standard Protoss versus Protoss play. By the way, Protoss versus Protoss is Free's weakest lineup, so perhaps Bisu thought he would just play very standard, and he did play standard, going 2-gate into robotics facility, whereas Bisu went straight for a gateway, and basically 2 gates into expansion, which definitely is a great against what Free ended up doing. Also, Free has not gone for harass. Importantly, like he said, he's not gone for any kind of probe harass. So Bisu's economy is untouched going into the mid game here. We're seeing Free move to the south here. Interesting enough, maybe trying to catch some of Bisu's forces in a flanking position, try to catch their right flank, I guess. But right now it's not looking that good. Bisu has 2 forces around. They're probably about the same size as Free's, and now we're seeing the Citadel up. So perhaps speedlots are going to come out pretty soon. And I don't think Free's going to be anywhere close to speedlots. And speedlots, of course, are very good against Dragoons in mass. And Bisu is really just looking quite sharp in this game, going for the build order advantage. Good prediction abilities by Bisu, and taking advantage of the poor scout there.
Right now, what
is that? Is that a Bisu pylon in?
No, it's just a scout.
Is that Bisu's pylon there?
No, that's just he sent in a probe scout. No, he didn't build a pylon there. But right. he knew that the Free's entire force was out at play, and he knew he could send in that probe scout right now to kind of get a view at the base. But it's interesting. He's playing kind of a cat and mouse game. I think he's trying to pin that attack force in and flank it, crush it between 2 attack forces, and keep Free's basically do an attack on Free's main once that force is eliminated. As you can see, he's posturing that attack force to the north. Free's trying in the meantime to do kind of an opposite thing, lure Bisu in where you can take map advantage, you can take advantage of the height. It doesn't look like they're going to both engage right here, and this is going to be disadvantageous for Free. He's going to be kind of in a position, where he's getting a lot of things picked off. He does have 2 Reavers though. That is a fairly big, sizable advantage. The question is will the amount of Reavers that Bisu has pushing in right now, able to pick one off, able to pick the second off right there. That's what is the different. I was going to say that's does he have enough Dragoons, I should say, to do that. And now the rest of those Dragoons just going to get assailed. A lot of blood on the ground right there, a lot of Dragoon blood. Zealot's trying to push in. Free's just got to retreat now. He's just overwhelmed by the amount of forces. Those Reavers are the only thing holding Bisu back at that stage. Now that they're picked off, I think Bisu's just going to just barrel in, especially with that speed upgrade which just completed. And he's got enough Zealots to get in and close, and that's going to be GG. Free could not hold that back.
Yeah, good play by Bisu. Like I said, it's possible to win on this map without going Reavers, and Bisu surprisingly did that just now. We're going to move on to Game 2 here. We'll see if Free manages to recover his composure here. In the second match, will be on Medusa.